Bulking season is one of the most damaging ideas ever introduced to bodybuilding. And the worst part is that most people who bulk never actually get lean. They just get fatter and stay that way. I'm Dr. Nesh Jocic, former bodybuilding champion. I have competed 46 times and won 17 titles. During that time, I have personally coached over 3,500 clients and get them in the best shape of their lives. I have also published 11 ebooks which are fully loaded with detailed information about everything you always wanted to know about bodybuilding, like muscle growth, fat loss, training systems, number of sets, number of reps, nutrition, lifestyle change, and many, many other things. So if you're interested in expanding your knowledge and widening your horizons, please click on the link below and you will be able to access my ebooks. What bulking season promises? Bulking season promises something very simple. Eat more, train hard, and gain muscle faster. But that doesn't really happen in the way that most of the people are expecting to happen. The idea is that excess calories will automatically turn into muscle. But human biology doesn't work that way. Your body simply doesn't say, oh, calories are high, let me build more muscles. Your body actually says, energy surplus, store first, muscles later, maybe. And what actually happens during the bulking season or the bulking phase? What really happens is, for most people, a rapid fat gain. Most of you who have tried to do that, or other people who have done it, experience immediate weight gain. So they think, oh, I'm growing. I started with 85 kgs, but now 2 months later I'm 100. So I grew, I am improving, I'm building muscle. But this is not true. Most of it is actually fat. Now, because your insulin is increasing, you are disturbing your sodium balance in the body. So your kidneys, because of high presence of insulin, are retaining more sodium than they should. So you will automatically retain water. So water accumulation, water retention in the body also contributes to that gained weight. So basically, we are not talking much about muscle. We are talking more about fat and water retention. Things are also not that naive, because usually bulking season or bulking period is the period when people indulge eating nice, tasty carbohydrates like pasta, rice, porridge, bread, and all this increased abused amount of carbohydrates simply increases insulin resistance. And this is something that you don't want, regardless of your age. I know I was 20 once and I was 30 once. And I thought when I was 20, oh, who cares about 30? I'm going to bulk up now and then I'm going to get in shape. But then you get into millions of different problems when you try to get in shape. So what I'm trying to say is, it's not just about that particular period, short period of a year or a few years when you are really thinking about competing. And I'm talking about longevity. I'm talking about your health in general. So you don't want to cause insulin resistance. But if you get into this trap of bulking season, you will definitely be overeating carbohydrates. Therefore, you will cause insulin resistance. And this is very bad for your health. Obviously, loss of conditioning, not to mention. Once you start bulking, you lose your conditioning. You don't see your six-pack anymore. Your legs are not split anymore. Shoulders and arms, they turn into one mass. They are not separated. So you simply don't look good anymore. You have lost your conditioning. Also related to that high carbohydrate intake, your insulin sensitivity declines. So you experience decline in the most important thing when it related to general health, which is actually insulin sensitivity. And you will see now I'm going to explain to you why is that so important. During the bulking phase, you have very poor nutrition partitioning. So this is something very important for everybody who is thinking about building muscle. You need to understand what nutrition partitioning is. So nutrition partitioning is the body's ability to send nutrients towards muscles and energy rather than fat storage. So what determines nutritional partitioning? Number one thing is insulin sensitivity. So when your insulin sensitivity is high, nutrients go into the muscle. When you have insulin resistance, because you will be producing more insulin because you're resistant to insulin now. So the body is thinking immediately more insulin. So pancreas start producing more insulin. And therefore that chronically elevated insulin in your body will definitely take nutrients into the fat. There is no other scenario. This is a physiological necessity. And when it comes to diet composition, you need to understand that protein almost always partitions towards muscle and repair. Now, when it comes to fat, fat is mainly neutral, depending on the contents of your diet. But carbs are the ones that actually determine what is going to happen with your partitioning. Is it going to be low or high? Is it going to be beneficial or not? So carbs, which are highly dependent on insulin and timing, will actually determine, will cause, if you overeat them, they will cause poor nutrition partitioning. So nutrients will not go into for muscle growth, they will shift into fat storage. Now, why bulking often fails? So traditional or dirty bulking, if I can say, they cause chronic caloric surplus. You simply eat too much calories. And that will turn into fat, especially because those calories will come mainly from carbohydrates. Constant high insulin and also no precision in training. So poor nutrition partitioning means that you gain muscle and fat, high amount of fat. So this gain will be mostly fat. Good partitioning means that nutrients go to muscle, glycogen, and repair, while poor partitioning means the nutrients go to fat storage. The biggest lie about bulking is this: you can always cut later. You've heard it so many times. People who are always bulky, they said, oh, don't worry, when the time comes, I'm going to get in shape. Take me 2-3 months and I'm going to be ripped. And maybe you have thought the same, but from your experience, you know that most of the time, when you bulk, when you get fat, hardly anyone gets lean again. And if you want to get lean, it's not going to take 2-3 months. It may take 5-6 months, and you're going to lose probably more muscles that you have gained in the previous months because of this huge amount of body fat that you have to lose. And remember, high amount of body fat will never go on its own only. When you have too much body fat to lose, you will always sacrifice muscle. Most of the time, that ratio is 50-50. So if you have 20 pounds of fat to lose, or 30 pounds, half of that will be muscles. So you will always lose muscle if you have too much fat to lose. And why is this? Because once you gain excess fat, your whole hormonal balance shifts. Everything is different now. Instead of producing glucagon, which is hormone that actually breaks down energy, breaks down glycogen, and promotes fat loss, triggers enzymes that actually unlock fat cells and allow glycerol and fatty acids to come out of the fat cell and be used in the bloodstream. Now you're producing more insulin. Insulin triggers different sets of enzymes which actually lock the fat cell, allow glucose to come inside and turn into more fat, meaning growing that fat cell, but stops exit of glycerol and fatty acids from the fat cell. So this hormonal shift is absolutely terrible. Also, hunger increases. You're going to be constantly hungry because your intake of 5-6 meals a day, all of them made of carbohydrates, will constantly cause that vicious insulin cycle, those cascades of high energy and low energy. Then your glucose drops, and then you have to eat again. And then it goes up too high, and then too much insulin wipe out completely glucose from the blood, goes down again. So hunger happens continually 4, 5, 6 times per day. And you simply have to eat because you're running out of glucose. Because once you're dependent of carbohydrates, you have to eat constantly. This hormonal shift also involves hormone leptin, which is satiety hormone, and that is disrupted because high insulin levels disrupt leptin signaling. And obviously, your training quality drops. You've seen so many people constantly eating. Some of them are eating before workout and immediately after workout simply because they have to. They depend on carbohydrates so much that if they don't eat for 3 hours, they're just going to crush. Their energy drops dramatically down because of glucose simply hitting the bottom. And this is the beauty of high carbohydrates meals and obviously bulking season. When it comes to golden era bodybuilders, they didn't do this dirty bulking. They tried to stay in shape, and this is why they were always ripped. They were always shredded when the competition came. Because if you have little body fat to lose, it's going to be much easier. So you're going to end up with more muscle and less, and completely stripped off all body fat, because there was a little hardship to do, a little damage to eliminate. But if you are too fat and you try to get in shape, you're going to struggle. You're going to suffer. You're going to be killing yourself training, doing cardio, dieting hard, but in the process, not only fat, you're going to lose muscle. So you will probably end up exhausted, flat, smaller than before, and most likely never in great shape. So people like Arnold, who was always in good shape, just have a look in his competitions. He always looked fantastic on the stage. Then you have Serge Nubre, not to mention, he was obviously the godfather of conditioning, probably the most conditioned bodybuilder ever. Every single time on the competitions, he was absolutely shredded. Nobody today can come close to his conditioning and also symmetry. Then the same applies to Frank Zane, who was absolutely master of conditioning. He wasn't that big, but he compensated with amazing proportions and also fantastic shape. Then you have, for example, Albert Beckles, legendary bodybuilder who competed on Olympia on the age of 56 and finished second. So everything I'm telling you about that longevity factor, you see, some people are doing it right. And Albert Beckles managed to finish second after Lee Haney. Some people thought he should have won. And he was 56 years old. So there is absolutely no limit if you do things right. If you're not in a hurry, if you're not, indulging carbohydrates in the off-season. I also remember when they asked Albert Beckles, how do you eat? It was, I think, one of those old legendary videos, Battle for Gold. And then he's training on some gym which is outside. And they come to him and they say, so Albert, how do you eat? And he says, I mainly eat chicken, eggs, fish, vegetables. And he said, and sometimes I eat rice. So you see, in one sentence, basically deciphered the secret of staying lean year round. They had controlled amounts. They prioritize protein. They knew that carbohydrates will make you flat. They will force you to retain water. They will simply kick you out of shape, and then you're going to suffer big time to get in shape again. So they actually, the main macronutrients during the year were protein and fat, and sometimes carbs. They stayed as well, obviously, lean year-round. And they were focusing on training quality, not excess calories in the off-season. So training was always high volume, high number of sets, high number of reps, and this is how they managed to maintain that relatively very good shape even in the off-season. Now let me explain to you why staying lean year-round build more muscles long-term. Staying lean improves insulin sensitivity. Therefore, when you're lean, you will produce enough insulin, not too much, but that insulin will be highly welcome to every cell in your body and will distribute amino acids and glucose to every cell that needs them. Now, when your insulin sensitivity is low, you will produce more insulin than you should, and immediately, this is why it's calling resistance, immediately the cells are not going to welcome insulin anymore. They will be resistance. They will close the receptors because of the high presence of insulin. They don't appreciate that insulin because it is too much. So they literally hide from insulin. And this is how they don't receive necessary glucose and amino acids, and therefore they cannot grow. Also, training intensity. When you are lean, you can train with higher intensity. You will rest less between the sets. You will recover much faster. And all these basically are benefits of staying lean year-round regarding muscle growth. Now, what are we facing today is that modern fitness made bulking popular. And why is that? Simply because it's an easy advice. There is not much thinking and intelligence involved. If somebody says to you, "Oh, just eat, don't worry about getting a bit fat," you will cut whenever you decide to do it. So it's simply a very, very superficial advice. This approach immediately removes responsibility, so you don't have to worry, you don't have to pay attention to what you eat, you don't have to put your own responsibility in the whole project, because you've been told that don't worry, we all got big by getting a bit fat in the off season, and then when we want, most of the time never, we will get in shape. So that responsibility removal is a very pleasing, is a gratitude basically. Life is much easier when you're not responsible. Also, it flatters beginners, because beginners usually don't look for conditioning, separation, proportions. They are just trying to get bigger. So once the scale starts showing that they moved up 10, 15, 20 pounds, wow, they are really doing it now. They are progressing. So this bulking approach is very, very addictive, especially for beginners. And also, this promotion of bulking products sells basically calories, sells supplements, and also, which is very important, it sells content on YouTube channels, because if you are pleasing your viewers, they will come in huge numbers. There will be an army of viewers because you will tell them what they want to hear. You see, the difference between me and most of the other YouTube channels or YouTube influencers is that I'm not here to please you. I'm here to tell you the truth. And remember, there is never a problem with the truth. Truth is always constant. It is always the problem. How do you perceive the truth? So if somebody tells you things which are pleasing, or if it happens that the truth is something that you do, you're going to be very happy. But if the truth is something that you don't do and you don't want to hear, then you are going to have a problem with the truth. So basically, I'm not here to please anybody. I'm here to tell you the truth. And this is why my channel is as it is and is all about. So all I'm talking here is optimizing muscle growth and fat loss by telling you the truth. And obviously, not just backed up with the scientific research, but more importantly, with my own experience and experience of thousands of my clients that I've seen in the last 40 years. There is a bulking season trap in most of the people get actually caught. Once you accept bulking season, you are automatically accepting fat gain as normal. So it's so relieving, basically so nice, because you immediately your failure to stay in shape will be justified with an excuse that you're bulking. Oh, I'm bulking now. I'm bulking. Everybody said, my online coach said, oh, you should bulk. This is how you build muscle. You need more calories. You even need to get fat in order to build muscle. And you buy that lie. So that acceptance that fat gain is normal is the biggest trap. Then you normalize your poor conditioning. You feel normal. Because when you see other people in the gym who are like you, who are fat, swollen, water retention, breathing hard. Obviously, heart doesn't like when you're overweight. And but it's normalized now. And another big problem is that with this approach, you simply delay real progress. You may just get bigger and heavier, but you're not going to have bigger muscles. They may grow a little bit, but most of your weight and your bulk is going to be body fat. So the question that is begging for an answer, obviously, is what to do instead of bulking season or traditional bulking. So you need to eat for performance. Basically, you need to eat high amount of protein in order to build muscle. If you want to build muscle, obviously, I'm again talking about optimal muscle growth and fat loss. I'm not interested in anything else. So if you want that, you need to eat high amount of protein. You need to eat medium amount of fat. And you need to cap your carbs very low. So that means maybe a couple of times per week, 70, 80 grams of carbs on the days when you're training legs or back. But then in other days when you're training, let's say chest, shoulders, and arms, 50 grams of carbs, this is low. And maybe even better in your days off, no carbs at all. So this way, you're going to keep your insulin sensitivity extremely high. With this amount of carbohydrates that I have mentioned, not only that you will replace all your glycogen stores, but as I explained in the previous video, you also need to know that the glycogen doesn't equal carbohydrates. So when people say, "Oh, I lost 150 grams of glycogen in my workout, and then I need 150 grams of carbs to replenish the glycogen," this is absolute nonsense, because glycogen is mainly water, and 1 gram of glucose of carbohydrate holds 3 grams of water. So if you lost 100 grams of glycogen, that means that you have actually burned 25 grams of carbs. And this is all you need to replenish your glycogen. But even better, you don't even need carbohydrates, because you will replace them via process of gluconeogenesis. So the protein will turn into glycogen without any insulin spike or increasing or causing chronic insulin elevation. So you need to eat for performance. You just need to eat for muscle growth. Keep your body fat low if it's low. If it's not, it's going to go down. And you eat just enough carbohydrates to satisfy your pleasure if you want, but you don't even need them. You need to keep your body fat under control. My advice is to always make sure that you see your abdominals, you see your six-pack. It doesn't have to be extra sharp, ultra conditioned, but you see your abs. This is a good sign. And also make sure that your legs are also split. They can split your quads. You can see every muscle separated on your legs. So this is a good signal that you have just enough body fat, necessary enough body fat in the off-season. In your diet, you should prioritize protein, because it's the number one macronutrient. Carbohydrates will never be number one. They are even not number two. They are not even number three. They are absolutely nowhere in my scale. I just add them in order to satisfy hunger or pleasure for carbohydrates in some people. But often, a lot of people don't eat them, and they're still looking great, performing great, even in the off-season. You need to train for tension, not exhaustion. Your training has to be, as I advise, long enough. You need to do enough sets, enough reps for every muscle group, and don't train to failure. You don't need to train to failure. There is no physiological explanation for training to failure. This is the hype that started with Mike Mentzer and then continued with Dorian Yates in the 90s. These people did it for different reasons, for business reasons, but in reality, remember this word, in reality, this is the world around us, which we usually don't see. And it's very important to realize that the truth is literally around you, everywhere around you. So if you look retrospectively into the history of bodybuilding, you will see that from 60s all the way up till now, 99% of bodybuilders trained and ate more or less the same. And why would we need to try to invent another gravity or to discover another America? Things are already done. There are obviously people who create a hype, make some money out of it, a name as well, but you don't have to listen to anybody. You don't even have to listen to me. Just look around and be vigilant, be analyzing, have a critical mind, be open-minded, and everything will open to you. If you ask about what is the best training system, just look at the best bodybuilders ever and see what they have in common. And guess what? They're all going to have in common volume training. They're all going to be doing 20 to 30 sets for large muscle groups, 12 to 16 sets for smaller muscle groups. They will all prioritize protein. They will always all eat medium to high fat or low to zero carbs. So this is going to be something that top bodybuilders had in common. And I'm talking about golden era, and I'm talking about the era before introduction and implementation of huge amount of insulin and growth hormone in bodybuilding protocols. So I'm talking bodybuilding in 60s, 70s, and 80s, and some of them in 90s. But from 90s, the whole landscape of bodybuilding has changed because of introduction of insulin and growth hormone. Those two hormones change everything. They allow people to eat more carbohydrates. They made them a bit bigger, but they went completely out of proportion, out of shape, and with exception of very few bodybuilders from 90s, most of them, especially now, are still fat, and even fat winning Mr. Olympia. If you don't believe me, just watch and compare Olympias in 80s and Olympias now, and you will see the striking difference in conditioning. The reason for that is obviously exogenous abuse of insulin and growth hormone, which are automatically forcing your body to retain water and to turn nutrients into fat. So these people who are doing that, they have to do an enormous amount of cardio just to clean the mess they have created in the first place. So I'm not talking about this. For me, this is out of question. Now let me wrap it up for you, give you a few final thoughts. Bulking season is absolutely not necessary and is not natural, and for most people is simply destructive. Why is not natural? Because this idea that you have to get fat in order to get big is absolute nonsense. It's a physiological lie. You don't have to get fat to get big, because you simply get big regardless of amount of body fat that you have. Basically, it's better if you have less body fat. It's easier to get bigger muscles. If you have more body fat, because of the hormonal shift, is going to be a bit harder to build muscle, but much easier just to keep piling fat. So the goal is not to get big fast. Building muscle is a slow procedure. It's not going to happen in a few weeks or in a few months. It's going to take years and years for you to build slowly lean body mass, healthy, lean tissue without body fat, and keep your metabolic health perfect. This is why you have to stay away of this myth of bulking season, because this is exactly opposite than the ideal scenario. Now, the guys in Golden Era, they understood it, and I think it's time now to completely relearn everything you know about bulking season. So guys, let me remind you again that I have published 11 ebooks. I have published them for you. Lots of people have already benefited. Just read the comments. People are coming back and saying how much they have changed by reading my ebooks. They are absolutely loaded with all essential information that will make you different, that will help you build muscle and burn fat. Basically, they are answering all your questions that you always wanted to ask in bodybuilding. So simply click on the link in the comments and you can access my ebooks. Also, I would like you to watch this video in which I introduce my other services, which can benefit you greatly. And actually, this is the way that we can work together and one-to-one, and I can personally help you build muscle, get bigger, also burn body fat, get leaner, prepare for the show or whatever you need. So my services that I introduce in this video are obviously personalized training programs, personalized nutritional programs, telephone consultations, online coaching, and for lucky few who live in London, I do one-to-one personal training. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and if you did, please subscribe to my channel, like the video, send me your comments, and also share the video. And until the next one, I wish you all the best.